Yeah,
perfectly.
yeah.
Good.
That's basically the whole window, is just the.
That's okay, what I have to do is here, Mr. Crane.
Like Martin's
Um,
mashed of his face.
All right, so number 3 was the consumer surplus, so I'm stretching to hope that you can remember this. So what is consumer surplus? What is it generally?
That means there's more buyers than there is product available.
No, that's
Means they have too much money, they know what to do.
like excess supply.
Not
Isn't it
too many
where-
buyers, but not enough products for everyone who wants to buy.
Okay, excess demand, yeah, that'd be, so excess.
Isn't it where consumers are willing to pay a higher amount of money?
But they don't have to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So in this situation with supply and demand equilibrium at point C, so B is the price, but the demand curve, remember, it's the combination of all the prices and quantities demanded for the product. So all these people in the segment AC, all these people are willing to pay more for this product, but they didn't have to because the equilibrium price was down here. In fact, there's even one person up here that's willing to spend this level of price all the way up there. So if the distance from here to here is the excess, is the consumer surplus for one person, this entire triangle represents the consumer surplus for everybody. So the answer is D. ABC represents the consumer surplus. Good, good.
That's what Mr. Crane.
And then as a review, this BCD, that's the producer surplus. There are producers that were willing to sell this product for prices much lower than our equilibrium price B, but they didn't have to. They were able to sell at the higher price that was the equilibrium. So consumer surplus, producer surplus. All right, then I asked you to do number 6. The owner of a competitive firm making zero economic profit, what should they do?
Keep going.
They're gonna make more profits in the future.
Economic profit, remember, is the extra profit over and above the normal profit. And we see that in the short run for different markets, but in the long run that tends to get eliminated. The correct answer is C.
Okay.
They, economic profit is calculated by subtracting all costs, including opportunity costs, from revenues. If we get rid of economic cost, you're still making what's called a normal profit, which means your salary, your benefits. We talked about that a little bit with our stories the last couple of weeks. So they're still going to produce, which means that they must still be making exactly what they would in a different alternative. 7. Which of the following is more likely to result from a competitive market structure than from a monopoly making the same product? A is correct. Price that's equal to MC.
67%.
That's all it takes.
Number 10. In a perfectly competitive industry, the market structure with the most firms making identical products, which of those is true?
I vote
E.
B or C.
We go E.
Yes.
Oh, you know what?
Let's understand this better.
Hang on, 10 and 14 are like the same question.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they are.
Similar.
They're similar questions. I see that now.
In a perfectly competitive industry, you're the price taker. The average revenue and marginal revenue are equal because in a competitive market, do you remember what your demand curve looks like?
Isn't it, like, it's vertical, isn't it?
It's the
Or
opposite.
horizontal.
Horizontal.
It's horizontal.
Missing a piece of the puzzle.
Because the price won't,
Yeah.
if the price changes, the demand's not gonna change.
Yeah, well, and you can't change your price, you're the price taker, so, if you want to sell one apple or 10,000 apples, there's so many equal apples out there in the market, your increase of supply is not going to, impact the equilibrium price for this. So you have a horizontal demand curve, your marginal revenue is how much do you make by selling the next apple, and that is going to be the same as you made with every other apple. It's the price is going to be constant. So average revenue is going to be equal to marginal revenue. Your average revenue, of course, is your total apples sold divided by the total revenue you've made, and that's going to be equal because it's a horizontal. The price of the first apple you sell is identical to the 10,000th apple you sell. You can't impact the price. All right, 12. In absence of intervention, this is kind of asking you about things we learned about today. Imperfect competition, externalities, public goods, and imperfect information all result in which of the following?
Market failure.
Yes.
Of course, the answer is B, market failure. I didn't mention this one, imperfect information. That's another example of a market failure. If you have, think about it, if you are selling a car and you know all the quirks about that car, and you know that when the temperature falls below 27 degrees, it won't start, and you're selling your car in summer, the buyer's not going to have all the information on that car that you do, and therefore they're probably going to pay a higher price for that car than they would if they had that information. So that's an example of a market failure too. Another one with imperfect competition. Another example of market failure is something called lack of labor mobility. This is one I should have mentioned before. Right now, there are welders in Detroit, Michigan that are out of work because the car industry is not employing as many people as it used to. And there are open jobs in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We need welders. There are manufacturing jobs, industrial type jobs like welders that will pay and will pay well here in Green Bay, and we can't fill them. So we've got welders in Detroit without jobs. We have jobs in Green Bay, and there's this mismatch because there are factors which make it difficult for workers to move from one place to another. Why would somebody in Detroit decide not to move to Green Bay, or that they can't move here?
Not the money.
There are costs involved with moving, that's true.
I think,
Probably what's the biggest thing you have to worry about if you're gonna move out of state?
Family.
Texas.
yeah,
Are you holding off for like even a better job? Because I know people could do that.
Yeah, they
Houston.
might,
That
but
would be the benefit of staying in a big city.
what's the biggest pain or problem with moving?
How much it costs?
Time.
Selling your house.
That too.
A house is the biggest asset that you own. You've sunk a lot of money into it, and a 1% change in the price of the house will have a tremendous impact on you as opposed to 1% change in your car or anything else that you own. And then look at the tough times now with the Great Recession, the fact that some people are still underwater with their mortgages, meaning that they owe more on their mortgage than the house is worth if they sold it today, because prices of homes are still depressed from where they used to be. It's going to be very difficult for you to take a hit and sell your house for less than your mortgage and less than you probably paid for it yourself. It's going to be a major barrier to movement. Plus, you might want to be by your in-laws. You might want to be, this is where you grew up. Maybe you like Detroit. I mean, there are all kinds of reasons not to move, and the other costs involved certainly, but your house is going to be part of that. So it is difficult to move labor. Other resources like aluminum, if there's a big pile of aluminum in Detroit because they're not making cars, and some company in Green Bay needs that aluminum, the aluminum doesn't care. The aluminum doesn't own a house. The aluminum it doesn't suffer from that same lack of resource mobility. That's why labor tends to be the factor production that tends to have the biggest problem with this. So there's another example of a market failure. 14, firms with the following market structures maximize profits by producing where marginal cost equals marginal revenue, if at all. Which of these will be the case?
Well, monopolies definitely won't do that, because they can always have as much profit as they want.
E.
So the question is,
It's definitely not.
which of these market structures do you look at where MR equals MC for output?
A.
What did I say?
I hope that's not gonna be on YouTube.
Andrew, what was the?
It's E. All of the market structures, remember I
What's the
emphasized,
first thing you do when
What's
you
the
look at
first
the graph
thing?
is look at MR equals
and look at the part where MR equals MC, even with monopoly. Now, that doesn't tell you where the price is, but remember, MR equals MC tells us your x-axis, your output, what is gonna be the total amount of units produced, okay?
Let's draw that.
So, well, I don't know if I can draw everything, but, you know, with monopoly, you've got this demand curve, you've got marginal costs, marginal revenue. I know average total cost is something like that right there. Let's say, you know, marginal revenue, something like that, okay? So the first thing you do is, where is MR? Oh no, that's off. It should be much lower than that. Shoot. Call that MR. So we look to see where MR equals MC, and it's this point right here. So that tells us what will be the output, okay? What will be the quantity? Now, to determine where the price is going to be that monopoly is going to produce, we go up to the demand curve. At this quantity, what will be the corresponding price? It's going to be something really obscenely high, because they don't have any competitors. There's not going to be any, this is not just a short run situation. In monopoly, this is the long run. This is the one long run situation where you are going to have economic profit. The distance between your price and the average total cost is going to remain a vast difference, because nobody else can come in and take your profit margin away. You have a monopoly on the market. But the point is, with this question, you always look for MR equals MC, even with monopoly, and you look down here, that tells you your profit maximizing output, and then you have to do something else to figure out what the price will be. In this case, going up to the demand curve. Okay? Is that the last one?
Yep.
Okay, okay. So hold on to this. We're gonna definitely be looking at some more of these questions next time. Any questions? All right. I've been having, the last one was longer. My 11-year-old daughter is helping me do some movie editing and get that last one on YouTube. The first one's on YouTube, the second one should be there today. I'll put this one up there. I'm also gonna put some, you might wanna hear how other people describe. I'm gonna put some good videos out there.
Search.
I'll put them all in Moodle.
Oh, they're
Um,
in.
yeah. And I'll put them all in like I think I have an AP Microeconomics section. Yeah, I do. Everything will be there. You might want to check it out. Also, I still need to tell you where would be maybe the best pages in your textbook to be reviewing some of this stuff. I will advise you on that as well as we go forward.
Pre-response practice too would be good.
Oh, yeah. All right, have a good night.
What's the story on the AP gathering next year?
It's cold in the water.
You want me to pause?